Hi, welcome to Homework Helps video number 2. Today we're talking about comparing and ordering rational numbers, which for us means basically all numbers. Our first step then, since we don't know what forms we're going to have, is to convert our numbers to have the same form. So if you have a fraction, a decimal, a percent, you need them to look the same. Typically in 7th grade, we're going to change them into decimals. After that, to help us put them in order, we're going to put them on a number line. And lastly, to make sure we answer the question, we're going to write them in order. So let's go over a couple problems together. We're going to start on the front with problem number 4. Problem number 4 asks us to put this set of numbers here in order from greatest to least. So I'm going to follow the steps we outlined a moment ago. Step 1, we need all of these numbers to have the same form. I see that we have some fractions, some decimals, and even a percent. We're going to change them for ease of use into decimals. We know that to change a fraction into a decimal, we divide. 2 divided by 5. The resulting decimal will be 0.4, and don't forget your negative sign. 0.75, of course, is already a decimal. Negative a half, we all know that a half is 0.5. And again, we'll bring down our negative sign. Then 70%. I hope everybody can remember that to change a percent to a decimal, we're going to make a decimal place and move it 2 spaces to the left. So 70% becomes 0.70 or just 0.7. Our last fraction is 11/20. We would divide and get 0.55. Once we have all our numbers in the same form, negative 0.4, 0.75, negative 0.5, 0.7, and 0.55, we're going to put them on the number line to help us put them in order. My first number is negative 0.4. You can see I've created a number line down here going from negative 1 to positive 1. Negative 0.4 is a little bit less than halfway to negative 1. Then I'm going to look for where to put 0.75. 0.75 is most of the way to positive 1. After that, we have negative 0.5, which is exactly halfway between 0 and negative 1. A little bit further to the left, a little bit smaller than negative 4. 0.7 is a little bit smaller than 0.75. And 0.55 will be our last one, very close to the middle between 1 and 0. Now, my number line isn't perfect, but it doesn't have to be. It's here to help me put these numbers in order. Once I have them where they should go on the number line, I can go ahead and write them from greatest to least. And let's make sure we write our answer so our teacher can see it. Our greatest number is 0.75, then 0.7, then 0.55, then all the way back to negative 0.4, and lastly, negative 0.5. There at the bottom in red, we have our answers from greatest to least. All right, let's move over to the back of our homework and talk about problem number 2. Problem number 2 asks us to compare a series of numbers. And we want to say which one is greater, which one is lesser, or are they equal? With each pair, the two numbers are in a different form. We're going to need to change them to have the same form. Now, I said earlier that we usually change numbers to be decimals, and that is true. However, for this problem, we're going to go ahead and pick whichever form would be easiest for that specific problem. Looking at this one here, I think that it's still going to be the easiest to change the numbers to decimals. So, I'm going to change this 10% to be a decimal. To change 10%, I'm going to add a decimal and move it to the left 2 places. This becomes 0.1. So I'm now comparing 0.1 and 0.01. These two numbers are obviously not equal, and 1/10 is greater than 1/100th. Place value is so important. If I move over to question number 2, we've got 30% and 3/10. For this problem, let's go ahead and change them both to fractions. 3/10 is already a fraction. 30% as a fraction is 30 over 100. Percent means literally divided by 100 or out of 100. We can simplify this by 10. And it simplifies to 3/10. Excellent. We also have 3/10 on the right hand side. Obviously those two numbers are equal. Our third choice pits 40% against 1/3. Who is greater? Let's, for this problem, change them both into decimals. 40% as a decimal becomes 0.4. 1/3 as a decimal, we have to divide the top number divided by the bottom number. Numerator divided by denominator. Our answer is 0.3 repeating. To compare these decimals, we still have to understand place value. 0.3 repeating is 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, and it goes on for forever. But that does not mean, because it has more numbers, that it's greater than 0.4. 0.4 is still the bigger number because 4/10 is greater than 3/10. No matter how many hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, etc. we add on to 3/10, it will never reach 4/10. 4/10 is the greater number. And lastly, let's look at 25% compared to 1/4. We are going to, for this problem, change them both to percents. Why not? We haven't done it yet. 25% then will stay the same. And 1/4, to change to a percent, we're going to want a denominator of 100. I can multiply the top and bottom by 25 to get a new denominator of 100, and the numerator will be 25. 25 out of 100 is the same as 25%. Remember, percent means out of 100. Let's check out 25 versus 25%. Are they equal? Yes, they are! And that's problem number 2.